This is the AHSAA Weekly. I'm John Holder. This is your inside look at everything going on with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. This week we've got a packed show. Jamie Lee, president of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association, will join us to talk about the Principal and Athletic Directors Conference coming up next week in Montgomery. We'll also shine the Central Board spotlight on Central Board member Larry Raines. Also coming this week, Bobby Tittle. He is the principal at AHSAA High School. Their school and community devastated by a tornado last week. We'll talk about the recovery efforts in Calhoun County with Mr. Tittle. Also coming up this week, the head coach of the Hatton High School Hornets boys basketball team, Justin Henley. He's got a great player headed for a national slam dunk competition. And of course, we'll have David Holsford's highlights as we'll take you around the state of Alabama for spring sports highlights from around the state. All of that and more on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Welcome back to the AHSAA Weekly. Right now, we're going to take you to the offices of the Alabama High School Athletic Association in Montgomery. Jamie Lee is the president of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association. And Jamie, welcome in this week. We're going to talk about a big event that's coming up next week in the first week in April in Alabama, a great conference that's set for high school athletic directors and administrators. Let's dive in and talk all about it. Welcome into this week's AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Yes, we're looking forward to next Tuesday. We've got a great conference scheduled for our principals and athletic directors and coaches that serve multiple roles. Sometimes they coach, sometimes they have athletic director duty. So if they can make it, we'd like to have them as well. But we've got a great day planned for them next Tuesday.
This is the 13th annual event, and this is something that is really important. Maybe the average fan out there doesn't understand the role that administrators and principals, athletic directors that they play, but this is so key, and there are so many big topics. We'll talk about those in a moment, but just tell us about the importance of this conference every year.
Yeah, you know, one of the things most people don't understand, they look at the coach in all of our sports and all our athletic things. They look at the coach, and the buck does ultimately stop with the coach when you're talking about winning and losing. But when we have issues, it goes to the principal. We're going to talk to the principal and or the athletic director, and so everything ultimately falls on their shoulders. And so we use this time in April for one, to catch up a little bit. We to catch up on some things that may have happened throughout the course of the year that we need to tell them, that we want to share with them, things to try to prepare them for the summer, things that might be happening in the summer. And then also another big thing is sort of encouragement. We try to use this as a time to encourage them to finish strong the last 2 months and to make sure that we do what we need to do to have spring championships and then move into the summer where all of our athletes compete in the summer, trying to get ready for the next season, those that are returning. So this is a big event in April that we use to really try to set the tone for the following school year.
Jamie, there are a lot of important topics. Maybe this conference this year might be more important than any that you've had in the past because of what is going on and the challenges facing high school administrators in this day and age. One of the topics that maybe we don't think about with high school athletics very much is going to be the topic of teen suicide. And you've got a very special and qualified guest coming from the Jason Foundation to address that issue with ADs and administrators.
That's right. You know, one of the things that we have really been concerned with in our office over the last 9 months, we hear it from principals, we hear it from coaches, athletic directors, and that's the mental health component of our student athletes, our students in general, but our student athletes specifically for us, and our coaches and our principals and administrators. They deal with so many things, and this has been such a challenging year from their standpoint and knowing what to do to try to motivate their students, to try to take care of their students, etc. That's been such a challenge. And then when you consider the mental health of our student athletes and some of the challenges that these students are facing, we felt like this was a huge opportunity for us to bring in someone like Clark Flatt, who's founded the Jason Foundation, to talk about teen suicide and the issues that administrators and coaches and principals can look for to try to help some of our students. You know, I think that the statistic says that the second leading cause of death from ages 10 to 24 is suicide. And our students are just faced with so many challenges that they see every day, and we want to help our principals and athletic directors know what to look for to help those student athletes. Clark Flatt has a great story. He's going to do a great job expressing those things to our principals and athletic directors.
Jamie, what are some of the other highlights and topics that people can expect at this year's conference?
Well, I mentioned that, we try to sort of set the standard and set the stage for the future. We'll talk about digital ticketing. That has been a huge portion of our year so far because of COVID, but we will use that all spring. And then going into next year, we don't see much change with that in terms of the ticketing aspect. So we'll spend some time talking about digital ticketing. We'll spend some time on AHSAA eligibility issues that we want to make sure cover. We've had some new bylaws that have been passed, so we want to talk about that. But the thing that's going to be so much fun, I mentioned the fact we want to try to motivate them and give them a little encouragement. We have a speaker coming who is a magician. He is from Tennessee. He uses some of his magic to try to gain their attention, to get them paying attention. And he has a tremendous story that he will share about how to impact young people. And just really looking forward to that. I know our administrators will love it. He's very, very good, and we'll have a great time with it.
Jamie, it sounds like a very fun time, but also a very important time. Thank you for spending a few moments here with us on the AHSAA Weekly to update folks around the state on the important work for this Principal and Athletic Directors Conference. And looking forward to that coming up next week in Montgomery.
Yeah, thanks so much, John. I appreciate it. And to anyone that has not registered, registration's still open. Go to your Dragonfly account, look for that Today page, and register next Monday. It will be Monday the 5th at noon will be the cutoff time. We will take no more registrations at that time. We don't have on-site registration, so everything has to be done ahead of time. Go to your Dragonfly account and register. If you have any questions, contact me in our office. We're really looking forward to it. John, I appreciate you doing this for us, and wish you the best as the day goes on.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie Lee is the president of the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association. Our guest with us here this week on the AHSAA Week. Time now for our AHSAA Central Board Spotlight. This week we are shining the spotlight on Larry Raines from the Alabama Department of Education. He has served on the Central Board representing the Alabama Department of Education for the last 6 years. Here's Larry Raines.
Larry Raines has done just about everything in his 48-year education career. He started as a science teacher and basketball coach back in the 1970s. His coaching career allowed him to coach football, baseball, basketball, and golf. He also became one of Alabama's most respected softball officials. Finally, he spent nearly 20 years as a principal, first as headmaster at Autauga Academy, and later at Verbena High School.
I've always thought that to be a good manager, you had to be a good follower too. So I consider my role, and have for years, as a servant leader. I think that if you hire good people, you set a good example for them, and you depend on them to be a professional, and they carry out their duties, then you'll have a successful program. When I was coaching, I thought the same way. To me, I always talked about it being a cycle. If you work real hard, you're going to have success. If you have success, you're going to be encouraged to work even harder. And now you're back to having more success. So it just continues.
For the last 10 years, Larry Raines has worked for the State Department of Education, which led to his 6+ year stint on the AHSAA Central Board. He's set to retire in March.
I've enjoyed very much working with the Central Board. I don't know how much contributions I've been able to make, but I've learned a lot from watching and observing the great members of the Central Board. But even beyond that is the excellent staff that's at the Alabama High School Athletic Association, which starts with Coach Savarese and Alvin and all the others that work there. Coach Savarese has put together a great organization, and of course it was well formed before he got there, and he'll admit that too. But he's carried on and made even improvements on that. But in making decisions with the Central Board, we've always tried to keep what's best for the students, what's best for the teachers, what's best for the coaches, what's best for the districts and administrators. But overall, we've got to look at it as what's best for the state as a whole and not look at just individual circumstances. We do, of course, listen to those and many times want to be sympathetic to their request, but we still got to base it on what's best for the state as a whole. And I think the Central Board of Control, in the years that I've been fortunate to serve on it, has done that and has done it well.
If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
We are back on the AHSAA Weekly, and right now we're going to take you to Calhoun County, to the Creek Bank at AHSAA. We have the principal of AHSAA High School, Mr. Bobby Tittle, is with us at this time. Of course, everyone, I think, in the Southeast and around the country, if they had not heard of AHSAA, Alabama, unfortunately, they now have, and not in the best of circumstances. Devastating tornado roaring through that community in western Calhoun County last Thursday. Loss of life, loss of a lot of property, and just a lot of hurt in that community. And one of the pinpoint guys that is helping at the forefront in helping that community and that school and everyone recover is you, Mr. Tittle. And we thank you for spending a few moments out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule to join us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Hey guys, I appreciate you having us. Yeah, it's been very busy here. I'll be honest with you, just trying to get a little normalcy going for some of these kids right now. They've been through a lot over the last week or two, and especially since the tornadoes came through the end of last week. It's been, if you could just see some of the devastation going on with some of these families that lost everything. And I know many people watching have experienced a tornado and have lived through it, but this town's been hit hard over the last few days.
5 people lost their lives in that tornado. A lot of folks, as you mentioned, even more, many injured. Many, as you said, lost everything they have. What is the greatest need right now? I was told earlier today, but I want to confirm with you that perhaps maybe the greatest need right now is just actual money and funds for folks that need to buy some things. They need to find places to live and they need housing and things like that. What are some of the needs that you have right now for folks around the state that might want to help out folks in AHSAA?
Yeah, money's the main thing, but a lot of things that we don't think about, like totes. These folks that are cleaning out, trying to collect their materials that they have, they don't have anywhere to store it right now, and so they don't want to just put it in a trash bag or something. They want to put it in dry totes that can keep their items safe. Trash cans, trash bags. Things of that nature are big that we've been asked for just today, and so we were able to. And I'm going to say this too: our counselor at AHSAA High School, Jennifer Craig, is sent straight from heaven. She is a spectacular person that has also led such a charge in getting donations. She is just a diamond for the students and the people here in AHSAA High School, collecting things and trying to get those distributed. Our local churches. And I'm not even going to start naming the local churches because I will forget one. But our local churches here in AHSAA have been astronomical in getting donations, serving meals, delivering meals out to our community. But back to your original question, yeah, just dry totes, trash cans, cleaning supplies, tarps, and of course money.
Mr. Tittle, we want to talk about the AHSAA High School and your student body being affected directly by this, because you had a student who was seriously injured and lost family members, including a mom and grandparents. Another former member of your school that just graduated a couple of years ago. Folks around the state will probably know the name Dominique Thomas, great running back, one of the greatest running backs in AHSAA history. That family unfortunately suffered injuries and loss of life. Just tell us about that situation there.
Yeah, Dominique Thomas graduated last year from AHSAA High School. He's an all-state running back. He's currently playing college football. He has a sister in 7th grade that's an athlete, multiple sport athlete, and she was injured in the tornado, has already went through surgery and is progressing well. Dominique and his sister both lost their mother during the tornadoes and lost grandparents. So three three family members, a mother, a grandmother, and a grandfather they lost. And that family is just a special family to the AHSAA community. They're loved by everybody. Dominique got the news Thursday afternoon. They were on their way to play a football game, and he wanted to play a football game in honor of his lost family members. Unfortunately, that game was canceled due to weather, but they're dealing with it. They're moving on. They're moving forward step by step, and it's hard. It's hard for them, and it's hard for the community to deal with that.
Mr. Tittle, AHSAA's like a lot of small towns in Alabama. You've mentioned it a couple of times already, a very small-knit, tight community where people love and care for each other. And just tell us about you mentioned the churches there. I'm sure the school, obviously, you mentioned some school personnel that have been at the forefront of this. But just tell us how this AHSAA community and beyond AHSAA, surrounding communities, great stories of some of your quote-unquote rivals, maybe around Calhoun County and that area, that are coming to the aid of AHSAA during this time of need.
Yeah, and you're spot on. I have received emails from Raglan, from Southside, from Munford, from Westbrook Christian, donations from Alexandria, who was also hit hard, Pleasant also hit hard, but all of the surrounding Talladega County, Calhoun County schools received messages from Piedmont, from Oxford, you name it. I've received messages from these people, and they're willing to donate items. Their clubs, their organizations are wanting to get together and come and help and bring donations of various types to us. And they're collecting monies, they're collecting funds to donate, and it's just an outpouring across the state. I've received Fayette County High School, a good friend of mine there. They've reached out. Centerpoint High School, just you name it, they've reached out.
Mr. Tittle, I want to thank you for the leadership that you have shown. You love AHSAA, you love those people. I know that on a personal level, and they love you. And that is being shown this week. Thank you for the leadership that's taking place out there within the school and the community. Before we let you go, if folks want to contact you from around the state of Alabama, they're watching this, and they feel led to give in some way and help in some way in AHSAA, how can they contact you perhaps?
Well, many ways. They can send me an email. Would be an easy way. Tittle, that's BTITTLE .OH at ccboe.us, and they can just email me, and I will get them in touch with the proper places. They can also message me on Twitter at BRTittle. Again, that's TITTLE, and I'll get them in contact with the appropriate places.
Mr. Tittle, thank you so much for spending time out of an unbelievable schedule to join us here on the AHSAA Weekly. Our thoughts and prayers with everybody with the Alabama High School Athletic Association, member schools around the state of Alabama, and all of our viewers, certainly with you and the folks in AHSAA in the days ahead. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, and thank you to AHSAA. Thank you to everybody for all your thoughts and prayers. We appreciate it. Keep them coming.
Bobby Tittle, the principal of AHSAA High School in Calhoun County. Right now, we're going to journey up to North Alabama to Lawrence County. The head boys basketball coach at Hatton High School, the Hornets head coach, is Justin Henley. He joins us now. Coach, glad to have you with us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about a couple of things. One, I think for the first time since, 1999, maybe when you were in high school, your team made it to the boys Class 2A Final Four. A great season. Tell us about that.
It was a heck of a year. My first year back being home, I grew up about 300 yards from here. So, and to be able to come back and for us to make a run to the Final Four for the first time since 1999 when I was a player here, it's been really special. It's been a fun time.
Of course, you went to the Final Four. Another team that was in the Final Four down in Birmingham in Class 2A was Calhoun. Their great player, J.D. Davison. So you have something in common, both teams in the Final Four, but also two of the players, one from Calhoun, Mr. Davison, and one of your players, Ridge Harrison. They have been selected and have made it all the way now to the American General Family Life Insurance Slam Dunk Contest, a national slam dunk contest. Two guys from Alabama, both from the same classification from small schools, both made it to the Final Four. This is a really big deal here.
It certainly is, and I'm so excited for Ridge to be able to show off, his ability. Obviously, JD being a household name, especially in Alabama, with him signing with the Crimson Tide and all that. But I think hopefully Ridge will show us something special. I know athletically he's got a chance to put on a great show, so I'm looking forward to watching myself.
This is going to be on national television. This will be in Indianapolis as part of the Final Four week that's coming up. It'll be at one of the legendary high schools in the Indianapolis area. This is a huge deal. Tell us about how he got this far. Tell us about the process of making it to basically this national competition on national television.
To be honest, I don't know a ton about it. I know, as far as the voting and everything that was going on. Being in a small community like Hatton, I know people probably had their phones and their iPads and computers out, and they were voting every minute. Every time I got on social media, I saw "Please go vote." So it's a credit to his family and friends for pushing that, and a credit to Hatton, the community of Hatton, and the school for just for backing him and voting him in. And like I said, I think everybody's looking forward to watching him compete.
Well, we're seeing some highlights of both of these young men right now doing what they do well, slam dunks. What is it? I've watched a good bit of video of Ridge, and there's a lot of 6'3" guys out there that play high school basketball in this country, but there's not a lot of guys that can slam dunk, obviously, like this guy does. You're a coach. Tell us what makes him special and different as far as when it comes to dunking the basketball.
Just the small time I've been around him, just the God-given ability. We're all blessed with different things, and he's certainly been blessed with some athletic ability that you don't see a lot around in Hatton, Alabama. So, and he's worked at it. Over the last few years, I think he's bought into the weight room. With me being new, I think that was one of the big things in the past that he's been able to do, and it's helped him. Him being able to touch 10-7 and the vertical jump is pretty impressive, and something we don't see a lot of. And in my journeys, I've seen more of it than probably the people around here. But like I said, we're just excited for him, and I know he's excited. First time he got to fly and things like that. But we're excited to watch him do something that he loves.
Well, he's an outstanding basketball player, representing Hatton very well. His college plans, we know J.D. Davison, you mentioned going to Alabama. What are his college plans? And if he doesn't have anything offered already, he's about to have a lot of eyeballs on him, that's for sure.
He's got a few things going on. Obviously, he wants to go and play somewhere. He's had some phone calls from, junior college, high-level junior college, Division IIs, NAIAs. So he's kind of filling that out. I've kind of sat through the process with him a little bit. We haven't dove into it too deep. It's a crazy year to be a senior, with guys being able to hold on to that extra year and things like that. So probably a little under the radar, and hopefully, this will help him out some.
One quick final question, and it may be a tough one, Coach. What's better going to the Final Four, player or coach?
Probably as a coach. My wife got to enjoy it with my kids. I got a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old, and he's got his Final Four bag tag on, and he loves it. So just letting them be a part of it, and so probably as a coach.
Very good. Coach, thank you for spending time with us here on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you very much.
Justin Henley, head coach of the Hatton High School Hornets up in Lawrence County, our guest this week with us on the AHSAA Weekly.
It's time for the 13th Annual Sylacauga Magic of Marble Festival, April 6th through the 17th. See sculptures from around the nation at Central Park. Take part in the Marble Scavenger Hunt beginning March 29th. Explore the B.B. Coleman Memorial Library Marble Room and Sales Room. For more information, go to magicofmarblefestival.com or call 256-249-0961. Experience the Magic of Marble April 6th through April 17th.
As we close out this week's AHSAA Weekly, time for David Holsford's highlights. David Holsford of the Alabama High School Athletic Association putting together highlights from athletic competitions all across the state of Alabama. We begin with boys soccer. Marbury Bulldogs hosting 5A rival Holtville. Some exciting play on both sides. First, we pick up the action with Kent Wilson sending a cross pass toward teammate Grayson Cannon, who delivers the goal into the back of the net, giving the host Bulldogs a 1-0 lead. Holtville strikes back quickly. Going to have a perfect pass from Luck Sire, who heads the shot over the goalie. Going to tie the match up right here at 1-1. Look at that shot right there. We pick up play in the second half. Marbury's Michael Austin Rhodes sending a longer shot past the keeper for a 2-1 lead. Later, Rhodes delivers a penalty kick to make it 3-1. We'll see that penalty kick coming up right here. And this again is Michael Austin Rhodes with the penalty kick. That made it 3-1. And with Marbury attacking again, Azir Hicks collects the final goal to seal a 4-1 win as Marbury beats rival Holtville in boys soccer down in the River region in South Central Alabama. Next, we're going to head to Montgomery. Girls soccer, Crosstown Capital City Conference in Class 3A Region 2 rivals Trinity and Montgomery Catholic. Trinity's Wildcats get out front in the first half when Ella Wiswall sends a cross pass to Ansley Addison, who finishes the goal for a 1-0 lead. And Trinity strikes again when Healy Matheson nets the goal to put the Wildcats up 3-0. Matheson scores the next 2 goals, and Trinity wins 9-0 over the Knights in that Class 3A Region 2 battle between Trinity of Montgomery and Montgomery Catholic down in the Capital City in the Capital City Conference and in Class 3A Region 2. Coming up next, we're going to have some baseball action. Got some. This will be Chilton County and Pelham. This is Chilton County in Clanton taking on Pelham, Class 6A Area 6. Game scoreless in the second inning. Aiden B drills a sacrifice fly to give the Tigers a 1-0 lead. Lane Bice going to follow that up with a single to drive in Bryson Green for another run here for Chilton County. Pelham's going to come right back, though. They're going to storm back in the next inning. This is Trenton Jones delivering a bases-loaded single to drive in a run. And there's that run coming into the plate right there on that bases-loaded single. And then we're going to see Logan Green. He follows with another RBI single. This is going to tie the game up at 2-2 in this high school baseball action between Chilton County and Pelham down in Clanton. Big first baseman James Cullum going to break the tie with a deep liner to left center to drive in the go-ahead run in the bottom of the fifth, and Chilton County holds on to win over Pelham 5-2 in Clanton in high school boys baseball action. And now we've got Hartselle, where the Tigers taking on Hillcrest Tuscaloosa in a classic battle of 6A baseball powers. Hartselle draws first blood in the third inning when Andrew Carty singles in a run to give the Tigers a 1-0 lead. Before the inning is over, Brody Morrow lined a double to left to plate 2 more runs to make it 3-0. But the Patriots from Hillcrest Tuscaloosa rally an inning later when John K. Tunnell singles in to drive in 2 to cut the Hartselle lead down to 3-2. The second runner comes in to make that a 3-2 Hartselle lead. Tyler Johnson follows with an RBI single to tie the game at 3-all. There's that tying run there coming in to home plate to tie it at 3. Hartselle rallied, however, with Blaze Gillespie ripping a liner to left to plate 2 runs, and the Tigers won the game 5-3. Hartselle a winner over Hillcrest of Tuscaloosa up in North Alabama at Hartselle. Now we got some softball action down south. Thanks to the Geneva High School NFHS Network School broadcast team, the Lady Panthers of Geneva taking on county rivals Slocum. The Red Tops getting a big hit in the top of the second inning when Mallory Hagler sends a scorcher to the outfield to drive in the first run of the game. Then we're going to take you over to the fifth inning. Jocelyn Boswell drives in a run with an infield grounder to tie the game at 1-1. And then Geneva going to take the lead in the next frame when Ella Dale singles up the middle to plate the winning run as the Panthers of Geneva take a 2-1 lead, or 2-1 win over their rivals, the Red Tops of Slocum, in that Geneva County rival game in softball. Thanks to David Holtzford and all the folks around the state of Alabama for gathering those highlights for us. And that will do it for this week's AHSAA Weekly. We will see you back here next week.